Aloha and welcome to the Hawaii State Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. We're here for our Thursday, April 10th, 2025, 9:30 a.m. hearing in conference room 229 at the Hawaii State Capitol to consider a number of individuals who have been nominated to serve on boards and commissions. The first nominee on the agenda is Governor's Message 516 for consideration to the Boxing Commission. Nominee Falanico Vitale for a term to expire June 30, 2028. Testifying for the DCCA, Justin Jones.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Justin Joe, one of the executive officers for the State Boxing Commission, here to stand on my testimony and support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also have 116 individuals who submitted written testimony in support of the nominee. I don't believe any of which indicated they would be present in the Zoom, in the room for the hearing. Is there anyone in the room who would like to testify on the nominee? No? Okay, well, I'd like to acknowledge this nominee, I think, wins the record for this year on individual pieces of testimony and support. Do we have Mr. Vitale online or outside?
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. Just to note, we have these are all there are various boards and commissions that are being considered today. Board and commission nominees being considered today. We have requested that the nominees submit a questionnaire and their resume detailing their qualifications for the positions. That has all been reviewed by, made available and reviewed by the committees. So these are voluntary positions. We don't require members to make themselves available presently because we have already vetted them. Next up, we have Governor's Message 564 to the Board of Nursing, submitting Rebecca Moore for consideration for a term to expire June 30, 2028. Board of Nursing and Sport.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, my name is Alexander Pang, Executive Officer for the State Board of Nursing. We stand on our written testimony and support.
Thank you very much. We also have Kelly Okada in support, Caitlin McAllister in support, and Arthur Sampaga of the Hilo Benioff Medical Center in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, Ms. Moore, we have you online. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
If you'd like to make a statement with the committee and the members of the public watching the hearing, please go ahead.
My name is Rebecca Moore, and I have been a Hawaii resident the last 15 years, and I worked tirelessly for community health and especially for the outer islands. And I would be thrilled at this opportunity to serve as a member of the Hawaii State Board of Nursing.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for making yourself available. Members, any questions for the nominee or the DCCA? Okay, seeing none, again, thank you for making yourself available. We'll move on to the next nominee, Governor's Message 746, Alexander Smith, for consideration to the Board of Public Accountancy for a term to expire on June 30th, 2029. Board of Public Accountancy in support.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Sector West. I'm the Executive Officer for the Board of Accountancy. The board stands on its testimony in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also have Grant Tokumi in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, seeing none, we have the nominee online, Mr. Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. I'd just like to thank you for your consideration of my nomination for a second term. I've really appreciated the opportunity to serve for my first term, and I'd like to continue. And yep, thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the nominee or the DCCA? Okay, seeing none, thank you, sir, for making yourself available for today's hearing. We'll
My
move
pleasure.
on to
Thank
the
you.
next. You're welcome. The next nominee is Governor's Message 747, Zachary Johnson, for consideration also to the Board of Public Accountancy for a term to expire June 30, 2029. DCCA in support.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Victor West, the Executive Officer for the Board of Accountancy. The name stands.
Thank you for sending on your testimony. That's all the testimony we've received. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, seeing none, moving on. Governor's Message 748, Ashley Porter, for consideration to the Hawaii Board of Optometry, term to expire June 30, 2029. DCCA in support.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Dean Hazan, the Deputy Director, the department will stand on its testimony in support of the nominee.
Thank you very much. Jeffrey Peterson in support. Tyree Jenkins in support. Leanne Nalani Kasuga in support. Nicole Chang in support, and Nita Nikpur in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, seeing none, we have the nominee online. Good morning, Ms. Porter.
Morning. Hi,
Good morning. If you'd like to address the committee, please go ahead.
my name is Ashley Porter. I've resided in Hawaii for 9 years. I've done quite a bit of work all over the island and then also internationally as well. I would be really honored to be part of the board, so I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the nominee? Okay, seeing none, thank you for making yourself available and volunteering to serve.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next nominee, Governor's Message 749, Catherine Mao, the Hawaii Board of Optometry, for a term to expire June 30, 2029. DCCA in support.
The department stands on its testimony in support of the nominee.
Thank you very much. Jordan Schmerbach in support. Leanne Nalani Kasuga in support, and Elizabeth Hanohano Hong in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, if not, we have the nominee online. Ms. Mao. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'd like to thank you for your nomination, for considering me for the board. I've been practicing optometry for 18 years and in Hawaii for the last 14 years. And I would be very honored to be granted a position on the board to serve the community of Hawaii.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the nominee? Okay, if not, thank you also for making yourself available and for stepping forward to serve. We'll move on to the next nominee, Governor's Message 750, Nathan Konishi, to the Motor Vehicle Repair Industry Board for a term to expire June 30, 2029. DCCA in support.
Department stands on its submitted testimony in support of the nominee.
Thank you very much. Matt Takata in support. Is there anyone else who'd like to testify on this nomination? If not, Mr. Konishi.
Hi, good morning. I'm just I served on previous boards on the the contractor license board, and I've been I lived all my life in Hawaii. I'm just happy to be happy and honored to serve on the board.
Hey, thank you. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you also for making yourself available today and for stepping forward to serve. We'll move on to the next nominee, Governor's Message 751, Gary Belcher, to the Hawaii Medical Board for a term to expire June 30th, 2029. Hawaii Medical Board in support. Thank you very much. Danny Takanishi in support. Richard Philpott in support. Mihai Yu in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Belcher. Good morning.
Morning. Yep, my name is Gary Belcher. Lived in Hawaii for 58 years. Moved here when I was 11. Grew up in Ewa Beach, went to Campbell High School and the University of Hawaii. I'm finishing up my first term with the Hawaii Medical Board. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. My employment background made me a good fit for that board, having dealt with residency training, and I'd be honored to serve another term. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Any questions for the nominee?
Yeah, Chair, I got one.
Senator Richards.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Belcher. Just a question, since you worked on the residency program, how do we get more MDs? How do we keep them or develop them and retain them? Any thoughts on that?
That's a good question. There is a major shortage, especially on the neighbor islands. I know the school is working to provide scholarships for medical school tuition for people who will stay and practice in Hawaii, particularly in underserved areas. There's also legislation up right now to potentially allow more foreign medical graduates to practice in the state. Several states have already adopted this. There are pretty stringent requirements, but this would make people who don't have residency training in the United States able to be licensed in the state. I think those are two things that we're looking at right now. But you're right, extreme shortage is becoming very worrisome. So the board is very concerned about that matter, and we are working on it.
That's what I wanted to ask, and you just answered the question, that this is being considered by the board and trying to come up with some innovative ideas that address the problem. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, the Federation of State Medical Boards, who provides assistance to all the boards and throughout the states and territories, has come up with a list of requirements that would be enacted to allow foreign medical graduates with no residency training in the United States to become licensed in the United States, following a somewhat rigorous process. That legislation is not completely available yet, but there is a contingency bill that will allow foreign medical graduates who have at least 2 years of fellowship training in the United States to become licensed, provided that those fellowships meet relatively strict criteria. There have been a few applicants for licensure in the state that we were not able to license due to statute, and hopefully this bill that's in front of the legislature now will meet that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions? Senator McKelvey?
How's this going to work given this new federal environment? I mean, you got illegal immigrants who are being arrested and sent out of the country. I mean, realistically, for foreign medical graduates, given everything that they're hearing and seeing, do you think this program is going to be something that's going to actually be able to be effectuated quickly? And what are we doing with other states as far as reciprocity goes for trying to increase licensure for doctors in Hawaii, I guess? Because to me, that seems to be a more of a immediate impact. While I support the foreign medical one, given what's going on with the feds, I think there's going to be potentially a lot of problems with it, right? Yeah.
Gary, can I help you out a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, so we are part of the Interstate Medical Compact.
Can you reintroduce yourself?
My name is Chelsea Fukunaga. I'm the executive officer for the Hawai'i Medical Board. So we did join in 2023. It went effective January 1st of this year. I don't have the current numbers, but I believe the last count we have is 203 doctors that came in through the compact. So we're hoping that it'll help to serve the underserved areas. We also have legislation going through, I believe it's SB 1365, And it's going to allow the board to conduct criminal background checks so that we can fully participate within the compact and we can become a state of primary licensure. So those are some of the initiatives that the board has been actively supporting.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted also just for the public, because, we get the question a lot, what is being done? So I appreciate this as an opportunity to highlight these bills. Thanks.
Okay. Members, any other questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Belcher, again, for making yourself available and stepping forward to serve. Next up, we have Governor's Message 752, Olivia Uchima, for consideration to the Board of Speech Pathology and Audiology for a term to expire June 30, 2029. DCCA in support.
Department stands on its testimony in support of the motion.
Thank you very much. Jihi Nguyen in support. Krista Nehajenko in support. Jill Tamashiro in support. Joanne Kawahigashi Oshiro in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, do we have the nominee? No, not online. Okay. Any questions for the DCCA? No, if not, we'll move on. Governor's Message 753, Audrey Abe, for consideration to the Real Estate Commission, term to expire June 30, 2029. Real Estate Commission in support.
We Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Neil Pudipai, on behalf of the Real Estate Commission.
Thank you very much. Richard Emery, Hawaii First Realty in support. Eleanor Kakazu in support. Tiffany Ahuna in support, and Paul Santos in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, Ms. Abe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Audrey Abe. I'm reapplying for a second term. I currently chair the Education Committee, and we have implemented a lot of great courses for our licensees. And I'm currently a broker, licensed broker and appraiser, real estate appraiser, and I'm licensed CPA also. And I'm very privileged to be nominated for a second term. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Vice Chair.
Thank you for your service on the current board. Especially with many of the condo property insurance challenges and condo governance issues that have arisen over the years. Do you think, the education component is sufficient at this point? Or do you think that, some of the proposals that we have seen in recent years, such as licensing for building managers, et cetera, is that something that, the Real Estate Commission has discussed or considered?
Yes, we have. And I think my personal feeling is the property managers could use more education in the building management and consultants with engineers and architects. And also, if some don't have a representative that's licensed at the board meetings, and board meetings, a lot of decisions are made there, whether it's every quarter, every other month. So I think that a licensed agent at the meetings would be best served for oversight and for the board. Because a lot of them are just volunteers who don't know much about construction, et cetera. That's one of my thoughts. I have other thoughts. The reserve study requirement is very good. I think that once it's prepared, I think whoever prepares it should explain it to the owners, because I find that a lot of owners don't understand the reserve studies. And I think for many boards, if the financial statements can be done on an accrual basis rather than cash, could be more transparent and more accurate. As far as education, I think all of that would play in with the property managers if they can have more classes in that area.
Okay, thank you. I think it would be very, very helpful for the Real Estate Commission to take a more active role with the department as well as with the industry to help address many of the challenges. And hopefully we can find a way to craft legislation that will help resolve many of the problem areas. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
I have a follow-up question. Well, not really a follow-up question. You mentioned that you're a real estate appraiser, and I never actually checked on this, but I'm wondering how these deferred maintenance issues are addressed in appraisal reports for units, since it's become such a topic of discussion over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's been discussed because now there's a requirement for every 3 years to have a professional reserve study. And most of the buildings are over 50 years old now. So it's a major concern as components are aging, whether it's drainage pipes, windows, spalling, etc. So it is a huge topic, and it's a huge challenge for the boards, who a lot of them don't have much background in that area. So they're hiring, I know a lot of boards are hiring consultants to advise them through the process because buildings are getting older in Honolulu. So it's a different time. It's not like 30, 40 years ago. So that is a big topic.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether some sort of more formal or standardized rubric can be made available publicly so that these individual AOAOs don't need to. It seems like every AOAO now is put in a position where they're in a trouble spot, where they have deferred maintenance problem. They have to go and procure their own individual consultant and go through all this expense when, for most vehicles, there are just standard deferred maintenance schedules that, if I go to a mechanic and they say it's time for your timing belt, I can Google it and, oh, I'm at 25,000 miles or whatever the standard trigger point is. There are some expectations on what needs to be done. And I'm just wondering whether from your perspective, at the real estate commission or just more broadly in the industry, we can have a little more transparency on what these expectations are, because for whatever reason, education might be one. It just seems like these issues have caught so many unit owners by surprise.
Yeah.
And because we're just in this period now, like you mentioned, where these deferred maintenance items just have to be seriously considered by these older buildings, is there some sort of simple rubric that can be made available, like a vehicle regular maintenance schedule?
Yeah.
Is it that simple or not?
I thought of that, and because if there was somewhere right now, the owners, I feel, are the most helpless.
Right.
Some of the boards, and it's not necessarily their fault because they're volunteers and they're not very educated in this area or very experienced in this area of construction. Especially you're talking about a large high-rise building or mid-rise building. It's like a commercial building, really. And so a lot of the owners feel helpless, say there's a leaking in their ceiling and don't know where it's coming from, but they know it's a common element problem and things are not being done about it. So preventative things are not being addressed a lot of times. And maybe because they're afraid of cost or raising maintenance fees. So I think that right now the property management has the most communication with the board. And that's why I think there should be a licensed person at the meetings. And but if there was like a list of qualified consultants that associations can go to, because what I find is they don't even know who to go to, especially the mid-sized associations. They say, okay, we think we need consultants, so they're just kind of grabbing here and there and not sure. Like say if it's a plumbing problem, but then it may need an engineer to look at the overall picture, not just the plumbing drainage pipes. So they don't know what companies to go to. Some of them can afford the better ones. I don't want to name them, but they can be costly, but it's probably worth it. So I find that maybe if there was a go-to list of qualified consultants for these association boards to go to if their property management company might not be fully knowledgeable or experienced in that area. So I think that also I find that once they find out the consultants firmly feel something has to be done, or they might come up with a design, then there's a question of financing. Not everybody can come up with $40,000 or $50,000. So if there was a way to get financing, because I think that holds back some of the associations, because some people have the money and some people don't. So that's where financing is important. They don't know where to go to or what bank's going to help them, or if they can qualify for equity loan, you know, things like that. So I find like those are some of the obstacles.
Yeah, and there are several vehicles still alive that are attempting to address that issue as well. But I do thank you for going down this conversation with us. It does seem like there are some best practices in the management of buildings of different types that
Yes.
maybe they're more readily available to property managers on the commercial side, or maybe it just is run a little bit differently because you don't have the diversity of unit owners to, you know,
Right,
you
right,
just mostly hire
exactly.
professional management, and then that these things might be a given or just more easily accessible in the professional context. But it does seem like we need to help clear the fog on this issue on the residential side. So thank you
Right.
for your comments on that. Any follow-up, members? Okay, thank you for
Okay, thank you very much.
and making yourself available to have this conversation with us,
thank
and
you.
for stepping
Appreciate
forward
it.
to serve. We'll move on to the next nominee, Governor's Message 754, Denise LaCosta, for consideration also to the Real Estate Commission for a term to expire June 30, 2028. Real Estate Commission in support. Thank you. Richard Emery in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, if not, Ms. LaCosta.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes.
Thank you so much, Chair. There actually were two other letters that were sent in support. I got copies of them, one from Wailana Herbst and one from Senator Baker. So I don't.
Okay. We didn't receive them before I came into the hearing, but if you can follow up with our clerk, we will try to make sure that they get posted for the record. Roz would be mad if she doesn't end up in the testimony record.
Yes, she
Not willing
would.
to risk that.
Not risk.
But please go ahead.
Mahalo, Chair. I am P. Denise LaCosta, and I have been in the real estate community for 33 years, resident of Maui for 35. I currently serve as the vice chair on the condo committee. I practice both commercial and residential real estate, sales, leasing, and management. And it is privileged to be renominated for a role that I truly enjoy serving in.
Well, thank you for stepping forward. Members, any questions? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. You know, the prior discussion that we had kind of covered a number of the areas that have come up most recently in terms of condo property insurance and related issues. Now, in Maui, you probably have a very unique set of circumstances, partly as a result of the wildfire. Can you comment on, you know, what you see as some of the challenges, particularly for Maui County?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Of course, the largest issue that we face is the the expeditious permitting to get properties rebuilt for housing. Insurance, of course, statewide and nationwide, it is really hitting all associations hard. I think that if the state were to look into perhaps a co-insurance or a reinsurance, or allowing condominium owners to insure their exterior, their portion, the undivided interest of their condominium along with their HO6 policy, it would take a lot of the pressure and expense off the actual condominium complex itself. I don't know the formula to do that, but I'm thinking that there might be a way to do that, and then the expense would be on the individual owners. And I think that it might alleviate some of the special assessments and some of the activity trying to borrow against the reserves to pay the huge insurance premiums that are being charged. In addition to what Ms. Abe said, I think that boards are uneducated for the most part. They are volunteer, true, but taking on the responsibility for your association is something that I don't know that people take seriously. I have been on a couple of boards, and there are people who just like the quote unquote position and don't take it seriously and really aren't educated enough. If there was a way that we could have a program to educate board members, even if it's just cursory, this is a reserve study and this is how you look at it. This is what is required for the statute and the statute. I think that it would help tremendously, and the boards probably would be more efficient if they actually knew what they were supposed to do rather than just show up at the meetings and vote. I think that the other thing is that I see a lot of people doing property management without a license. I have, excuse me, I've reported several of them to RICO, but I think that the penalties need to be a whole lot stricter because most people think, oh, it's the cost of doing business. I get $1,000 fine. I get a slap on the wrist next. I've seen that too much, and I think that we need to really crack down on people who are violating the laws. We all make mistakes. I understand that, but to do things purposefully and illegally, I just think that has to stop.
Well, thank you. I think, between your comments and Ms. Abe's comments, we would look forward to working more closely with the commission to develop recommendations for legislation in the future, particularly with respect to enforcement and going after, the property management responsibilities in greater detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Members, any other questions? I have a follow-up related to the question that I asked the previous nominee as well. You mentioned that you work in commercial and residential real estate, and I'm not exactly sure how what the market is like on Maui, but I do get the sense that when there might be a difference in how commercial properties deal with their maintenance and some of these deferred maintenance issues that are popping up on the residential side because of the difference between professional management and having volunteer members of homeowners associations. But this is all just sort of a guess, and I'm just wondering what your feeling is on that, and perhaps the need for just better general understandings of these regular maintenance items that just need to be taken seriously by volunteer homeowners association boards.
In the commercial arena, the owners either own their property or they usually have 3 to 10-year leases. So they have their businesses at stake usually. So they're more apt to pay a higher CAM. They are more apt to stay on top of maintenance because it affects their business. Homeowners associations don't want to increase the maintenance fees. They don't want the owners mad at them. I've heard that more than once in 33 years of practicing. So they continue to defer the maintenance and defer whatever they can to maintain a low maintenance fee. And then when it hits them that they have to reside, they have to redo all the windows, their roofs need to be replaced, etc., then everyone throws their hands up and say, board, why didn't you look after us better? I just think more accountability has to be done and reserve studies have to be stuck to. I mean, you do a reserve study and pay the thousands of dollars so that you know what to expect for upcoming maintenance in as much as you can. And people need to understand that when you have a property, I have a single family residence and I have a reserve for my roof and my plumbing and those kinds of things because I don't want to have to hand a plumber a $10,000 bill to redo something. So I think that perhaps being more real when you serve on a board and understanding you have to maintain properties so that your owners don't have huge assessments and don't have surprises and then therefore sell their properties so that they can get out from underneath the assessment. Currently on Maui, we have 358 condos for sale, which is the most I have seen since 2008 and 9. A lot of people are doing that because of the short-term rental issues. And the other part is because the maintenance fees are getting so high that without short-term rental income, they cannot afford to keep their properties. So it's a real conundrum. How do you live comfortably in a place and be able to afford to maintain it if your board doesn't stay on top of things and then hits you with a huge assessment? So sorry if that was circular, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. No, thank you for that and going into detail on the context on Maui. If there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you for making yourself available today and talking with us and volunteering again to serve. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members. I appreciate the opportunity to serve again.
We'll move to our next nominee, Governor's Message 755, Jennifer Andrews, also to the Real Estate Commission for a term to expire June 30, 2029. Real Estate Commission in support. Thank you. Richard Emery in support. Betty Lewis in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, if not, Ms. Andrews, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Vice Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Andrews, and I am very thankful for the honor of privilege of having served and currently serving with the Hawaii Real Estate Commission. I've been a full-time real estate licensee and broker for 25 years, having lived in Hawaii for over 40 years. I am older than 40, but I've been here for over 40 years. And I am actually very thankful to my fellow commissioners. I'm also very thankful to the dedicated staff and leadership at the DCCA. It's been a wonderful opportunity to continue to be part of the industry and helping to make it a better industry for everyone. And I really appreciate and thank you for your time and consideration for my second term nomination. And oh, by the way, I apologize, but I also had a couple other letters of recommendation. I'll resend it to your staff manager.
Yes, please do so that we can have them entered into the record before the recommendation goes to the full Senate. Members' questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you for making yourself available. You're by happenstance, you got the last turn, so we don't have any more questions already. We're gonna move on.
Thank you.
Next nominee is Governor's Message 756, Leanne Philhauer to the Board of Psychology for a term to expire June 30, 2029. DCCA in support. Oh, okay. Well, if there are no other testifiers, then we'll move on. GM 757, Kimberly Thompson Kerr to the Board of Veterinary Medicine for a term to expire June 30, 2028. Board of Veterinary Medicine in support.
Chair, Harry Shahan, Executive Officer of the Board of Veterinary Medicine. The board stands on the strong support of the nomination of Dr.
Thank you very much. We have Karen Worthington in support. Miyasaki Kim in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, if not, we have the nominee online. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Kim Thompson Kerr. I have been on Maui since 2008 and practicing privately and most recently working with the Maui Humane Society. I'm excited for the opportunity to serve on the board. I think professional oversight to the activities regarding veterinary medicine are important. And again, I'm honored to have been nominated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, questions? Senator Richardson.
Everybody's looking at me because I think you know this. I'm also a veterinarian.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's why everybody's looking at me. So I feel obligated to ask you a few questions. More of a statement, I think. Appreciate you're willing to step up because I served on the board back in the day. The relief work done after the Lahaina fire, were you involved in that? I'm going to assume you were.
I was on the front line, yes, and for a long time managing the cases.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think you had Dr. Beth Jose came in to help out on some of that, or Maria, I mean the sister. So yeah, and I was made aware because I think some of my office from the Big Island Vet Associates is our practice. Anyway, I appreciate you diving in to do that because that was a hard situation, and I appreciate you willing to step up.
Thank you very much. It was a challenging time for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. We at the Humane Society did what we could, and hopefully we're able to alleviate the suffering of some of the animals and also the people affected, because animals are part of their family too.
Yeah, I'm very keenly aware. So again, thanks for stepping up. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much.
If there are no other questions, then thank you for making yourself available this morning. We'll move on to Governor's Message 768, Gail Chang to the Board of Optometry for a term to expire June 30, 2029. Board of Optometry, first in support.
Shade hand, Executive Officer, Board of Optometry Chair, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to stand on our written testimony in support of Ms. Chang, who could not be here today. She was traveling on.
Thank you. Noelani Green in support and Clayton Pang in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the last nominee on this agenda, Joel Kim, for consideration to the State Boxing Commission of Hawaii, a term to expire June 30, 2028. State Boxing Commission first in support.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Justin Joe here in place of Executive Officer James Kaczynski, here in support of the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also have Robin Jumawan in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Do we have the nominee online?
Not available on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll recess for decision making. Okay, we're back on this 9:30 a.m. agenda on April 10th, 2025 in room 229 for decision making on the nominees for various boards and commissions that were considered on this agenda. Members, if there are no objections, I'm going to recommend that we take the nominees, or that we advise and consent to all of the nominees with the exception of 2. And if there are no objections, I'm going to recommend that we take those 14 nominees up in one vote.
Sounds good.
I will note that there are 16 nominees on the agenda. I'm going to recommend deferring Governor's Message 756, Leanne Philhauer, who was nominated to the Board of Psychology. We'll defer that nomination indefinitely. And on Governor's Message 747, Zachary Johnson to the Board of Public Accountancy. The nominee was not, although he did submit his resume and questionnaire, he was not available in person, and there was no other supporting testimony on the nominee aside from the department that manages the board. So we are going to defer decision-making on this nominee for 1 day. And we will reconsider the nomination on Friday, April 11th, 2025, at our 9:30 a.m. agenda tomorrow, where we will also be hearing board and commission nominees. So with the exception of those two nominees, I'm going to recommend we advise and consent to Governor's Message 516, Falanico Vitale to the Boxing Commission. Governor's Message 564, Rebecca Moore to the State Board of Nursing. GM 746, Alexander Smith to the Board of Public Accountancy. GM 748, Ashley Porter to the Board of Optometry. GM 749, Catherine Mao to the Board of Optometry. GM 750, Nathan Konishi to the Motor Vehicle Repair Industry Board. GM 751, Gary Belcher to the Hawaii Medical Board. GM 752, Olivia Uchima to the Board of Speech Pathology and Audiology. GM 753, Audrey Abe to the Real Estate Commission. GM 754, Denise LaCosta to the Real Estate Commission, and I thank both of them for their candor in that discussion that we had. GM 755, Jennifer Andrews, also to the Real Estate Commission. GM 757, Kimberly Thompson Kerr to the Board of Veterinary Medicine. GM 768, Gail Chang to the Board of Optometry, and GM 769 to the Joel Kim to the State Boxing Commission. Again, the recommendation is to advise and consent to all of those nominees. Any comments or questions, members? Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Senator McKelvey?
Yes.
Senator Richards?
Aye.
Senator Awa is excused. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, we're adjourned.